Have you ever been in a relationship, whether with a friend, family member, or partner, where something just doesn't feel right anymore? Maybe they don't call or text as often, cancel plans without much thought, or your once deep conversations now feel forced and shallow. It hurts, but sometimes the people we care about the most start to drift away or show us that we're not as important to them as we used to be. Recognizing these signs isn't about overthinking or being paranoid, it's about noticing patterns in their behavior. These little actions, though easy to ignore, often tell us the truth about where we stand in someone's life. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 clear signs, and honestly, these 4 signs are enough to show you when someone is pulling away or no longer values your presence. By understanding these signs, you can gain clarity and decide whether it's worth holding on or if it's time to let go. More importantly, we'll discuss how to handle these situations with self-respect and a clear mind. It's never easy to let go of relationships, but knowing when to protect your peace and focus on yourself is a crucial part of self-growth. Let's dive into them together. Sign number 1. I'm too busy, the polite rejection. Have you ever found yourself constantly hearing, "I'm too busy," from someone you care about? Maybe it's a friend who used to be your go-to for weekend plans, or a family member you used to catch up with regularly. At first, it might seem harmless. After all, everyone's got a lot going on. But when the "I'm too busy" excuse becomes a regular part of your interactions, it can leave you feeling confused and uncertain. This isn't just about a busy schedule, it's about how some people use busy as a polite way to avoid confrontation. Instead of being honest and saying, "I don't have time for you right now," they hide behind the excuse of being swamped, leaving things unresolved. This passive-aggressive behavior often keeps you at arm's length without ever addressing the real issue. It's the easy way out. It saves them from the discomfort of telling you the truth, while still keeping you around in their life at a distance. And as you continue to hear it, you start to question whether you're imagining things. You might wonder, are they really that busy? Or is something else going on? Think back to a time when you've either used the "I'm too busy" excuse or heard it from someone else. Maybe you've said it to avoid a difficult conversation or to sidestep an uncomfortable situation. On the flip side, perhaps someone used it on you, leaving you feeling like you weren't important enough for their time. It's easy to brush it off at first, but over time the pattern becomes clear, and you realize that this behavior isn't just about schedules, it's about priorities. The thing is, we all have busy lives, but when someone genuinely values your relationship, they find a way to make time for you. If someone constantly tells you they're busy but never seems to make an effort to see you or connect, it's a red flag. The truth is, we make time for what matters. If you're constantly hearing the busy excuse, it may be time to acknowledge that they might not value the relationship as much as you do. So what should you take away from this? Your time is precious. Don't waste it chasing someone who's not putting in the same effort. Instead, surround yourself with people who prioritize you, who make the effort to show up in your life. It's about investing your energy into relationships that are built on mutual respect and effort. When both sides are committed, the relationship thrives. If you're the only one making an effort, it's time to reassess whether it's worth holding on to. You deserve people who show up for you, not just when it's convenient for them, but because they genuinely care about the connection you share. Sign number 2. Avoiding physical contact, a sign of discomfort. Physical contact is one of the most basic ways we connect with others. A hug, a pat on the back, or even a simple touch on the arm can communicate warmth, care, and affection. It's something that naturally happens in close relationships, whether with a friend, partner, or family member. But what happens when that physical closeness starts to fade? When someone who used to hug you every time they saw you suddenly pulls back or avoids touch altogether? It can be an uncomfortable feeling, and often it's a sign that something deeper might be going on. If you notice that someone selectively avoids physical contact with you, maybe they hug everyone else but stiffen or pull away when it's your turn, it's not something you should ignore. People don't always express their feelings in words, but their actions speak volumes. When someone starts distancing themselves physically, it can signal that they feel discomfort, emotional distance, or even unresolved tension between you. While it's normal for people to have personal space preferences, if this avoidance becomes a consistent pattern, it's worth paying attention to. Reflecting on your own experiences, think about times when you may have ignored these signs or brushed them off. Perhaps you noticed that a friend started to pull away physically, but didn't think much of it at first, assuming they were just having an off day. Or maybe you thought, it's no big deal, and kept on going with the relationship, hoping things would improve on their own. But when you finally confronted the issue, you might have learned that there was an underlying issue or emotional barrier that hadn't been addressed. Avoiding physical contact often reflects something unspoken, whether it's discomfort with the relationship, a personal struggle, or simply a shift in feelings that the person isn't ready to discuss openly. What's the takeaway here? Relationships thrive on trust, closeness, and the willingness to connect on different levels emotionally, mentally, and physically. If someone consistently avoids physical closeness with you, it's time to reassess where you stand with them. Sometimes it's a temporary phase, but if it continues, it might be an indicator that something has shifted in the relationship. Instead of ignoring the signs, address them head-on. Honest communication about how you're feeling and why you've noticed the change can help you understand where the relationship stands and whether it's still worth nurturing. If the avoidance continues, it might be time to reflect on whether this person is someone who still has a meaningful place in your life. You deserve relationships where closeness, both emotionally and physically, is a natural part of the bond. Sign number 3, disappearing when you need them, a betrayal of support. Crisis moments have a way of showing us who truly has our back. When life throws a curveball, whether it's a personal struggle, a loss, or a moment of deep emotional pain, the people we expect to be, there are the ones who reveal their true character. In these moments, we often discover whether our relationships are built on genuine care or merely convenience. When someone vanishes during a tough time, it can feel like a betrayal. You may have been there for them through their own struggles, offering support and comfort when they needed it most, but when it's your turn, they're nowhere to be found. Instead of being the shoulder to lean on, they might disappear, leaving you to navigate the storm alone. This kind of behavior often happens with those who prefer the easy, sunny day parts of a relationship, but are nowhere to be found when things get hard. They may not want to deal with the emotional weight of your struggles, or worse, they may be more concerned about their own comfort than being there for you. True friends, on the other hand, are the ones who show up when the going gets tough. They don't vanish when things get messy. Instead, they dig in, offering a listening ear, a helping hand, or just their presence. They understand that real relationships are about more than sharing happy moments. They're about sticking together through the storms of life as well. Think back to a time when you needed someone, but those you trusted didn't show up. Maybe you were facing a difficult challenge, and instead of offering support, the people you counted on disappeared or acted distant. It can be heartbreaking to realize that someone you cared about didn't have the same commitment to the relationship. But as painful as it is, it's also a valuable lesson. You learn to recognize the difference between fair-weather friends and those who genuinely prioritize you and your well-being. The takeaway from this: it's time to let go of relationships that are only there for the good times. These fair-weather friends who only show up when it's convenient for them aren't the ones who will offer you the support and loyalty you deserve. Instead, focus on nurturing relationships with those who stand by you when it matters most. These are the people who will lift you up when life gets difficult, and they're the ones who are worth holding on to. True support isn't about being there when everything is perfect, it's about being there when everything falls apart. Invest in those who invest in you during both the sunny days and the storms. Sign number 4, gossip, the silent betrayal. Gossip is one of those behaviors that might seem harmless at first, but it's anything but. It has the power to destroy trust, tarnish relationships, and erode the foundation of a bond you've worked hard to build. When someone gossips about you, they aren't just speaking negatively behind your back, they're actively undermining your reputation and your relationship with them. And more often than not, the person who talks about others behind their backs will do the same to you once you're no longer in the room. Gossip may appear casual or innocent in conversation, but it's deeply manipulative and toxic. It's about creating drama, stirring up emotions, and often making someone else look bad in order to make the gossiper feel better or more powerful. It can feel like a bonding experience. When someone shares juicy details about others, but what they don't realize is that they're betraying your trust too. If they're willing to talk about someone else behind their back, it's only a matter of time before they do the same about you. I've had my own experience with gossip, and I can tell you, it was eye-opening. A close friend of mine once confided in me about someone else's personal struggles, sharing secrets that were never meant to leave the conversation. At the time, I thought it was just friendly chatter, but soon enough I began to hear similar things being said about me behind my back. That's when the reality hit me. If someone is comfortable gossiping about others to you, they're likely gossiping about you to others. The trust was broken, and the damage was done. Our friendship, which once felt solid, began to unravel as the gossip spread. I eventually had to address it directly, and that conversation was uncomfortable but necessary for me to protect my own peace. The lesson here is simple: gossip destroys relationships. It chips away at the trust that's vital for any strong bond. So if you're dealing with someone who constantly engages in gossip, it's important to confront them about it. Let them know that you're not comfortable with this behavior and that it undermines your relationship. Distance yourself from people who thrive on others' misfortune and drama. They aren't the kind of people who will have your back when you need it most. Instead, focus on building trust with those who value your confidence and respect your privacy. A true friend doesn't need to talk about others behind their backs to feel secure in their own relationships. They lift you up and support you in ways that are genuine and without ulterior motives. Keep these people close and let the gossipers fade into the background. Trust is hard to build, but easy to destroy, so make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who protect it just as fiercely as you do. In this video, we've discussed 4 key signs that can help you recognize when someone may be pulling away or no longer values your presence: polite excuses, avoiding closeness, disappearing support, and gossip. Each of these behaviors can be a red flag, indicating that a relationship is no longer healthy or mutual. At the core of any meaningful relationship are trust, respect, and effort. If one of these elements is missing, the foundation begins to crack, and it's important to assess whether it's worth continuing to invest your energy in it. Life is too short to spend time on toxic connections. You deserve relationships with people who genuinely care about you, respect you, and bring positivity into your life. Letting go of unhealthy relationships isn't a loss, it's a liberation. It's about freeing yourself to grow, heal, and surround yourself with those who truly have your best interests at heart. So take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Which ones add value, and which ones are draining your energy? Trust your instincts and take the necessary steps to protect your peace. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences or reflections in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation and support each other in building stronger, healthier relationships.